Hi there, Heavy citizens! Today I will be walking you through a composition I created using our latest release, Mosaic Pads. For those of you unfamiliar with our Mosaic series, it is a line of virtual instruments where we get to play around with what we find inspiring about a specific musical element. And for this new entry, we decided to explore the power, drama, and vastness of synthesized atmospheres, emergent soundscapes, and evolving ambiances. And this power, drama, and vastness is what inspired me to write this piece titled The Resolute. It consists of 3 distinct moments, all characterized by a different mood created using this new instrument. And from there, I let the sounds of Mosaic Pads inspire my next choices in orchestration, colors, and dynamics. But let's let the music do the rest of the storytelling. My name is Luis, and live from HYHQ, let's do this! So let's start from the start. The first mood is eerie. I want it to be like an uneasy soundscape, a little bit of dissonance, but also like a lack of like rhythmic center. That way the true motif, like the little melody that comes back, will be the one anchoring thing that will carry us towards the end of the piece. So the first sound that we hear is a combination of 2 different pads, hallowed dunes, you can hear the 3 layers that make this a sort of like uneasy sound, especially that little like glitched out noise, and digital droplets. Something that I love about this sound is how the macro sequencer is modulating the rate of the gate, which makes it very rhythmic, so it plays really well with the glitch from the other preset. And then, right before I introduce that motif, I wanted to start developing the intensity, but without going too far. As you can see, there's a lot of tempo synced things in Mosaic Pads, but they're synced at a tempo that allows you to perform stuff within your composition that will not feel entirely rhythmically in the sense of like driving a rhythm forward, but will create all of these moving swells and ramps and crescendos that will end up bringing your piece toward the next moment. This preset Everywhere and Everything, based on like one of my favorite movies of this year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, has that sort of like ramping uneasiness. You can see how it has 3 different gates, which is modulating each of the different sources at different rates. In this way, we're using rhythm to create space, we're using rhythm to create uneasiness, and we're using rhythm in a way that we can stay in sync, but not letting everybody know this is the tempo. And the other piece of this intro is Hallowed and Cursed. This is a kind of sound that the longer you let it roll, the more it's going to evolve. But later, you're gonna hear how it evolves once I let it ring. That's a pretty powerful aspect of Mosaic Pads, in which the sounds play differently depending on how long you hold the note and also where in the keyboard you play this preset. We'll go back to that in a bit. This then led me into what ended up becoming the main motif of the piece, which is just a little attack of one of the pads that then I later use as a pad, but it's this very, very simple melody coming from this preset, Minor Walking. I'm taking advantage of like the spacious reverb for it to linger on and have this very simple melody that cuts through the rest of the piece. And now with all of the pieces of the intro, let's see how they play together as we introduce the elements that will shape up the whole composition. Something that I wanted to do with this composition is let myself be inspired by the sounds of Mosaic Pads. And do I have sounds in the rest of my sonic canvas to draw from and enhance the soundscapes that are being set up by Mosaic Pads? So what ended up happening, brass became one of the main sounds that accompanies this piece. So every time I heard something cool in the Mosaic Pad presets I was using, I was like, oh, this could be very enhanced with like a live orchestra playing something similar. An organic pad swelling in. Then random staccatos. Mosaic Pad also has very analog, warm, synthesized sounds that are really amazing for that kind of like sci-fi vibe, retro vibe, but they also evolve with time and they're very vast and all-encompassing. And what ended up becoming one of the drivers of this composition, it's Super Synth Pad. Somebody really got inspired with that preset name. This one has three very nice layers that are really cool for synth sections. It is the macro sequencer that is creating all of this modulation alongside the gate, which allows the layers to come in and come out. This is something you can do with any of the Mosaic products. Basically, you can shape the evolution of your sound however you want. That is Tokyo 1982. Then you have VHS Super Drift layer, which is the one that gives you the attack. And another one that comes in and out, which is what gives you like the quick swelling. Super Synth Pad. Trademark not really registered. Then I'm using two presets to sort of like create a counter melody to our main motif, Grandfather's Clock. Notice how it has all of those upper harmonics creating an eerie dissonance. And Sunrise Comet. It's one of those sounds that has a clear attack because there are some decaying layers that do have a sharp transient. But again, as with the rest of the product, the longer these notes live, the more life they will bring to your score. And in this little break, I wanted to introduce a couple of the other sounds that are going to be rounding up our score. A little bit of staccato strings. That way you can know there are strings in this cinematic composition. Because you cannot do cinematic without strings. I mean, yes you can, but do you want to? And adding a little depth with Foundation synth bass. This brings us to our second moment of the piece. And this second moment is when we're gonna grab that eerie energy from the beginning and transform it into more uplifting, which is what the last moment is about. It begins doubling down onto the soundscape atmosphere. This time not as dissonant, but still there's a lot of going on and there's not a clear rhythm except for arpeggios that begin to like make their way through the composition. We got our hallowed dunes. This adds an uneasy rhythm to the piece. And digital droplets, which will have more time to develop. And this time we're using it on the lower register of the keyboard, which gives it that deep sound. Has a little distortion too. And that chord change. And something that I really enjoy is grabbing that preset that's playing the motif, minor walking, and now, again, in a different register and letting it evolve a little bit longer, it becomes quite a different thing. You can hear the different layers coming in and out. Flute-like kind of vibe. And some upper harmonic dissonance. Gonna do a brief mention to the arpeggios that are gonna usher the next stage. First one comes from another Mosaic, which plays amazingly well with pads because of its like sharp, round, and unique timbres of the transients. And from Mosaic lead. And in this section is where we build up the drama, and we build it with a chord change, with rhythmic movement, and with a sudden stop. So after this big movement, we're gonna only leave one sound behind, incoming signal, which is purely atonal, and it's basically an evolving noise texture. And it just creates a very cool, subtle vibe in the background as we start making way for that big, heroic moment, which is what inspires the name of the track, the Resolute. And what better way of setting that up than with a preset called Colors of Zen. This one has a subtle gating that I really like, and it's also a chordal sound. As you can see, each layer is tuned differently. That way, with just one note, you're pretty much creating a chord progression. You hear the root over here, the fifth comes over, and you have the minor third. This is joined by our friend Digital Droplets, again, once more in the upper register. I tried to sync that changing ramp in a way that's gonna lead me into the next big moment where super synth pad comes back. We introduce one counter melody that plays with the main motif, and all of the instruments, including percussion, come in. We make some room for the melody. Oh, you thought you were gonna hear that big moment? Nope. Now we're gonna use a different preset to create that swell. This helps us change the orchestration, helps us change the sound. So this one, Space Auditorium. Just imagine you're in an auditorium looking at space. You can see the ramp going up and the gate evolving. So basically we're modulating the amount, which creates a sensation of waves going up and down. And that is what helps us bring everybody in. And of course, to bring everybody in, we also want that drama to come from a different chord progression, driven by super synth pad with the help of Foundation's bass. right at the end of that swell, everything goes down, but if you trigger it again, you create this very cool moment in which this counter melody happened. And then I doubled it with Sunrise Comet. By using the Armageddon ensemble and adding some cymbals on the top, I got with this very cool groove that I enjoyed very much. When I was creating this group, I was thinking of those big tom fills from the 80s and like, how can this be cinematic in a way that feels true to this piece? And that's how I came to the decision of like using this very huge cinematic drums as opposed to a more straightforward drum kit. Is it just me or are we getting some Phil Collins vibes? Maybe Peter Gabriel? He's my favorite from the Genesis singers. Comment below if you agree or disagree. And remember how we were talking about strings? Because do you really not want to have strings when things are becoming so epic? And as we are arriving to the big ending, we use all of the same colors we've been using before, and we use them in slightly different ways, but we have them playing together. And to round the epicness, we have our plug arp, our lead arp, we have some hi-hat loops from our drum kit, and the horns are coming together with what everybody else is playing. So everything that's not Mosaic Pads at the end sounds like this. So as you can see, I made sure that I left the big open spaces and the important melodies to Mosaic Pads, which is what inspired the whole piece. And everybody else is playing with transients, is playing with arpeggios, and the horns are basically enhancing that big melody at the end. And since I can be a little dramatic sometimes, I left incoming signal at the end to give it a hint that even if you power through, the underlying noise might still be there, but there's still hope. You can power through again. So that's the last thing you hear. Open to interpretation. So there you have it. If you like what you hear, make sure to check the other demos made by the rest of the team. They're pretty amazing. And for more on Mosaic Pads or any of the other instruments I used, or if you just enjoy our videos, be sure to like, subscribe, and visit Heavyocity.com. Padsta La Vista! Wow, it sounds worse when you say it out loud.